right, guys, we are back. Welcome to the Mid-Level Media channel. This is your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about Swordfish on 4K from Arrow Video. I realize I've been reviewing a lot of Arrow Video stuff lately. It's pretty much all I've been reviewing. We've got some other labels and studios coming, guys. We got the Jaws 50th anniversary Steelbook that I'll be talking about soon, if I haven't already talked about it. Of course, the Bond collection, I am working through that right now currently, but I mean, look, guys, I love Arrow Video. I love talking about Arrow Video, and they just always do some really cool additions. And I was actually like really excited to revisit Swordfish because it had been a long time since I remember I think I had the Snapper case DVD of this back in the day. I believe it was one of the first DVDs that I had, at least maybe one of the first 20 DVDs that I owned, because I started collecting them in like 2002 and this movie came out in 2001. So, yeah, I was very excited because I was kind of just nostalgic for this movie. So, yeah, this was cool to get to revisit. We're going to talk about the movie, guys. That's what I like to do here on this channel, okay? Take it or leave it. All right? We talk about the movie, then we'll get into talking about the transfer. This transfer is kind of hyped up because I posted on my Instagram that I was watching this the other night, and I got like 10 messages from people, because this is already out. This has been available for a couple of weeks now, or at least a week. It's been available. I got messages from like 10 people that's like, this is one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen in my life. So we're gonna talk about, do I feel the same way? And then of course we're gonna talk about audio. We're gonna talk about special features. I'm gonna unbox this thing, even though I've already done it in a previous video as well. Before we get into it though, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on bell notifications for all future videos, and leave me your comments. So what do you think about Swordfish? This is the 24th anniversary of Swordfish. Like I said, this movie came out back in 2001. And getting into the movie, guys, I cannot remember. I can't remember if I saw this in the theaters or not. It might have been something that I didn't check out till it came to home video. Hell, I might have just bought the DVD. I was probably blind buying back in the day, guys. When I was 16, I was probably blind buying the same as I am right now. I've always loved film discovery, but I don't know. Something tells me I might have saw this one in the theaters. Of course, this movie has a great cast. It's got John Travolta, it's got Halle Berry, it's got Hugh Jackman, and this is fresh off of the original X-Men movie. I loved X-Men. I saw that movie in the theaters at least like 3 or 4 times. Loved that movie. And that movie, I would say, was arguably Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry's kind of coming out party. I think they became like, they may have already been stars before, but they became huge stars after X-Men. And this was kind of their follow-up to X-Men. So both of them are in this film. You also have Don Cheadle in the movie as well. And I can't remember like how big of it. I feel like Don Cheadle was popped up in a lot of movies around this time back in the day. But John Travolta was definitely the big name. And I would honestly say that this was probably John Travolta's like last big showing as far as a performance. I cannot come up with another John Travolta performance like in the 2000s that really like knocked your socks off quite like this performance did. Like maybe The Punisher. It's been a while since I've seen The Punisher, but I feel like after The Punisher, he kind of just like faded into obscurity, and then he did like The Fanatic in the 2010s. I don't know, like John Travolta's career is very interesting. He's had several like peaks and valleys, but it doesn't feel like he's had a peak since like the early 2000s around this time. But he's great in the film. Like he's essentially like the villain, type character who's recruiting Hugh Jackman to help him hack into some stuff to get some money. I don't want to get into the entire plot, guys, because I'm terrible at explaining plots anyway. But it's basically Hugh Jackman. He's divorced, and his wife's got his custody of his daughter, and his wife's like married to a porn producer, and she's like in porns, and his daughter's not in a very good situation, but legally like she has him because he's a hacker and he got in trouble and went to jail. So she's keeping him away from him, even though like he would be a better fit for their daughter. So he needs to get his daughter back, basically. But he has to have the money to kind of fight the legal battle and everything. So he hooks up with John Travolta. He hires him to hack for him to make money, and there's this whole like black market thing and shadow government type setup and storyline, and it gets very convoluted. That's the one negative I'll say about this movie. It gets really like wrapped up into all these like covert ops type things, and I didn't think it quite needed to go that far. It just kind of gets wrapped up and kind of lost in its own plot along the way. Like it really, if it would have just focused on the characters and maybe one like specific heist mission, I think it would have been a little bit more of a focused film. But I still like the movie. I think it's incredibly entertaining. I was shocked at like how action packed this was because I did not remember this movie being as action packed. Like by the end, you got a bus hanging off a helicopter, explosions and stuff. I didn't remember there being that much action here. I thought this was more just kind of like kind of like a spy thriller espionage type film hacking into stuff. I didn't realize it went like full blown action by the time we get to the third act of the movie. The movie is directed by Dominic Sena, with an S, not a C, like John Cena, but and maybe it's pronounced completely differently. But he also directed Gone in 60 Seconds, which is another like big favorite of mine around this time period. I watched Swordfish a good amount back then, but I watched Gone in 60 Seconds like way more. I freaking love that movie. I rewatched that movie like 3 years ago. It holds up. I would love a 4K of that, especially after watching the 4K of this, for sure. Because I think like just the aesthetic of this movie, and I mean, it makes sense. It's the same director, but the aesthetic of this film, the cinematography, the color palette, like this movie reminds me a lot of Gone in 60 Seconds in that way for sure. So definitely stylistically, like you can tell, there's a lot of similarities between this film and Gone in 60 Seconds. But yeah, it's a good movie though. It's a good movie. It's an entertaining film. Hugh Jackman's great in this film, incredibly charismatic. Halle Berry is great. Like I said, those were two people that were like blowing up at the time. They were really like coming into their own and becoming stars. And then of course John Travolta. Like I still believe that this might be like John Travolta's last like great performance. His opening monologue in this film is fantastic. And I'm always a sucker for like movie references and stuff. So him going into a big long monologue for like 5 minutes on Dog Day Afternoon just definitely made me happy for sure. But yeah, really, really fun movie. If you haven't seen Swordfish, this 4K is going for $29.99. I'm not saying go out and buy a $30 4K to watch the movie for the first time. And also like understand it does have a very specific style. Like if you're not used to that, if you haven't seen a ton of movies from the early 2000s, it's a very specific, almost like music video type style like they were doing back then. I think most people that watch this will be entertained by it for sure. Now, getting into the transfer here by Arrow Video, it's a native 4K. You got your Dolby Vision, you got your HDR10. This 4K this restoration was actually approved by the director Dominic Sena as well, which is always a plus. But what I really want to talk about is the 4K compared to the Blu-ray, because I do have this movie on Blu-ray. It's in a 2-pack with Rock and Roll. I actually got this at the Dollar Tree back in the day for $1. I hadn't opened it yet because, like I said, I hadn't seen Swordfish since the DVD era. So I did pop in this Blu-ray and checked it out, and I was actually kind of shocked, like how I'm not saying it looked better than the 4K, but I was shocked like how good it actually looks. So I do want to dive into that a little bit. Again, like if this is something you have on Blu-ray, you're happy with your Blu-ray, it's a movie that you maybe don't watch, but like once every 5 years or once every 10 years, like maybe you don't want to shell out $30 to get this edition of Swordfish, because again, this Blu-ray, like it's perfectly adequate. In my opinion, where the 4K does kind of excel over the Blu-ray is the detail. I do think, again, this has incredible detail. Like for a Blu-ray, I thought it looked great. Like the opening sequence with John Travolta, like up close shots, facial definition, like it looked really good on Blu-ray. I do think the detail is a little bit more improved. It's a little bit more sharper. It has a little bit more clarity to it as well. But I think the colors are just a little bit more natural on the 4K with the HDR. I think there's more depth there. I always say that when I'm describing a 4K, but I think there is a lot of weight to a good 4K with that HDR. It just feels like the picture kind of takes on a new dimension almost. When you're watching. I do think that's present here. A very strong 4K, guys. I guess I should just say that as well. This is a really great 4K. The people that were hyping it up saying it's great, I completely get it. And I think a lot of those people maybe like they hadn't seen Swordfish in a very long time, maybe since the DVD era, like me. Because again, like this is not what I would call a classic. The movie was big when it came out. The box office was like $150 million. Like a lot of people did see the movie, but it's not one I hear people really talking about. Like until this 4K was announced, I don't hear a ton of people like talking about the greatness of Swordfish and the cultural impact of the film. It was a very strong Blu-ray, but again, upgraded to 4K, this new remastering. Like I think it's just the way the movie was shot, the way that it looks. I think it just lends itself to that 4K restoration, that 4K upgrade, because it, again, it's always looked good on home video. I mean, I remember the DVD looking pretty good back in the day. Of course, that was probably maybe one of the first like 15 DVDs that I ever watched, but I remember it looking good. The Blu-ray looks good, and of course, the 4K is an outstanding 4K as well. So I do think this is just a film because of the slick nature of how it was made, how it looks, just aesthetically, the director, his style. I think that it just kind of lends itself to a really good 4K restoration, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I think Swordfish is absolutely outstanding in 4K. But again, the Blu-ray looks good. Getting into the audio, I thought audio-wise, guys, look, it's got a nice, like, kind of techno soundtrack, and it sounds really good. A lot of really good, moments with gunplay and explosions, and like I said, big action set piece moments that sound great. Now, this does, I do think, because of just how big of an action film that it does get, how big of a spectacle it gets. I do think that it could have benefited from a Dolby Atmos because you just had the 5.1. You also got the 2.0, which is also present on this Blu-ray. Now, I think the 2.0 is the audio commentary. At least it is on this, because I scrolled over to kind of listen to it to see if the commentary was on this, because it is on this, but it's not a new commentary by the director. It's the older commentary that exists on here. I don't think that they did a new audio commentary on here. So yeah, I think the 2.0 is just the audio commentary. I think you just have the 5.1, but this one has like some extra language options as well. So yeah, audio wise, it sounds good, but it's not an upgrade over the Blu-ray. So they didn't upgrade it. And I think they should have. I really do. Because I feel like The Long Kiss Goodnight got an upgrade. I feel like Deep Blue Sea got an upgrade. So it's kind of puzzling why they didn't upgrade Swordfish to a 7.1 or a Dolby Atmos. So that's a little strange to me. Guys, I am sorry. I am sorry. I overlooked a very important part of the movie, and I know that you guys would have wanted to know how this particular part of the film looked on 4K. So I'm going to go ahead and review that for you real quick. Halle Berry's berries in 4K. Top tier. they looked awesome. That's I just bring that up, guys. Look, I'm not trying to be gross. I'm not trying to be a pig or anything like that. But whenever you bring up this movie, like that's almost the first thing that comes up. That's pretty much the first thing that comes up is the topless scene with Halle Berry. Like that may be a reason to get this in and of itself for some of you guys out there. And look, it delivers in 4K. It does. It also delivered in Blu-ray, and it delivered in DVD, if I remember correctly, back in the day as well. So yeah, Halle Berry, that infamous scene looks fantastic. It's like the first time you saw it in 4K. Getting into the packaging, though, again, guys, we'll resume our regularly scheduled review. Great cover right there. You got the back, you got the synopsis, you got all the special features, which we'll crack into in a second. You got the casting list, you got the specs at the bottom. And then we take it out of the slipcover, and it reveals newly commissioned artwork, which looks absolutely fantastic, which is a great, action set piece sequence from the movie itself. I will say I like the kind of, attention to detail, how it kind of glitches out, like the computer glitch, like filter that they use in the movie over the film. They're kind of like utilizing that here with the artwork. I think it's pretty cool. Like this movie really was like, late 90s, early 2000s. It was all about like glitchy computers, dawn of the internets, just like the digital age. But on the back right there, you got all the same stuff that we had on the back of the slipcover. Open it up, you got some cool disc art, which is the same as the newly commissioned artwork. You got some artwork on the booklet right there, and I'll kind of flip through this booklet. You got some cool stuff in here. I will point to this one really cool thing. They got a map of like the bank and the coffee shop. I mean, because this is a heist movie. It's a heist movie, which I think is kind of cool that they put that in there for sure. Then we got a poster, double-sided poster. Now, on this side, it's horizontal. This is a horizontal poster, and then you flip it, and it's a vertical Swordfish poster. right there. So you got two different ways that you can hang it up depending on what side you want to put it on. And then you flip the inserts, and you got the original poster art again on the cover right there. So yeah, overall guys, packaging's great. You know, just for a slipcover edition, like Arrow Video still give you the booklet, you still got the poster and all that stuff in the regular edition. Doesn't always have to be a big box set to get all the extra stuff inside for Arrow Video. Now, getting into the features, guys, this is where I'll express a little bit disappointment. I know I already kind of did with the audio, but a little disappointment here. There's only 2 new special features, and you know they had the director do to approve the restoration. I wonder why he wasn't willing to come back and talk about the movie. I thought it would have been cool if he would have come back and did like a 15-minute interview on the making of the movie, because you just have an interview with the composer, and then you also have a new interview with the production designer, Jeff Mann, as well. But everything else is archival stuff that we've already seen before on past DVD releases, on past Blu-ray releases. You have HBO First Look, Swordfish, a promotional behind-the-scenes featurette, Effects in Focus, The Flying Bus, a promotional featurette detailing how the film's iconic climactic scene was created. I mean, maybe it's possible that some of this, like, I feel like I remember some of this stuff being on the DVD back in the day. But maybe it's possible that, you know, because when I popped in this Blu-ray, it did go like right to playing the movie. So I don't know if this Blu-ray like actually has special features on it. It does have the commentary on it, which is the same commentary that's on here. And like I said, there's no new audio commentaries. But I wonder, you know, if you know, maybe some of this stuff is older promotional material that they're putting on disc for the first time. Like that could be the case. I just don't have those different physical media releases to reference. And then you got 2 alternate endings with optional commentary by the director as well. So I mean, there's good stuff on here, but it's just most of it's archival stuff. There's 2 brand new interview special features, and there's no new audio commentary. So I think special features wise, it's pretty lacking, which again is why I say if you're just buying this for the 4K upgrade, like it's a really strong 4K, but again, the Blu-ray looks good as well. So like I always say, guys, just decide for yourself, figure it out for yourself. Like I'm not sitting here like saying you have to buy this. This is one of the best of the year. That's never my goal. My goal is to get on here and just to give my honest thoughts and opinions on the release. Because I did get this sent to me by Arrow. I did not pay for this. So I have to give my honest thoughts to you guys on the release so you can make an informed decision whether or not it is worth it for you to pick it up. But if you decide it's worth it, I do have it linked down below. Again, it's going for $29.99 right now, currently on Amazon. So thank you all so much for watching this review of Swordfish. I had a good time talking about Swordfish today. It was fun to reminisce on the film. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.